Ms. Gonzalez, if you would please state your name.
Yes. Linda Lizette Gonzalez.
And you're the mother of the children in this case, correct?
Yes, Jose Alejandro Renteria and Jose Allen Renteria.
Okay. So you heard my announcement earlier that what we're asking the court to do is just to modify the medical support. We're going to leave the child support the same.
Okay. The issue here is that my ex-husband, we got divorced in June 8th of 2020. And since then, my ex-husband has only done 11 payments of child support. He still owes, he's behind $27,764 with 24 cents. And
we're going to take a judgment today. We're taking a judgment.
Buckle up, guys. Today we are going into a tense courtroom moment as Ms. Gonzalez steps forward, laying out years of unpaid child support. The tension builds right away as the attorney explains they're keeping support, the same due to missing wage info. It's clear this is only the start of a deeper conflict, and the courtroom tone shifts fast as the judge prepares to
judgment today. But
yeah,
I don't want to modify the child support amount because I don't have wage information that I can verify today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't want to lower, because the only other option is it goes down to minimum wage because I don't have actual wages in front of me. But
okay.
Your order had like the government program, but it didn't have a medical reimbursement, which is typically, it's not typically, but it is required by law for the government program to have the cash medical add part of it.
Yes.
So that's what I'm telling the judge, the order only has the government program without reimbursement. I want the reimbursement today. I want to leave the child support untouched, and then I'm going to take a judgment for what's owed and get a payback on that. And then we can review it for contempt later because the children are still under the age of 18. So we have time to review it for contempt, which I think is the next step because he's not really paying.
And to be honest with you, this is another thing that I wanted to bring up.
Next voice. All right, guys. Now the situation escalates as Ms. Gonzalez reveals her ex has only made 11 payments since 2020, leaving more than $27,000 owed. The courtroom air thickens as she details a bounced check that caused the state to demand repayment. Her frustration shows as she argues that her kids shouldn't suffer for his insufficient.
Also in the court, because I did speak to somebody from Attorney General last week. He did do a payment the beginning of this month. And I ended up getting a letter, and I even have it right here, that this letter that was sent to me, that the money that was sent to my kids, they wanted me to return it back. So I called and I asked them why. And they said because apparently the check that he had sent was voided. By my understanding, it was an insufficient fund check. So then they wanted to get the money back for my kids. And I said, okay, but that's something that was already given. That's not my problem, my issue. That's something that has to be, dealt upon with him. Because they said, okay, well, we're going to do an arrangement. So I asked them, okay, so are you telling me that the next payment you're going to be deducting like 100 or something like that until it's paid off? And they told me, no, the next payment, they're going to deduct half of it. And I said, I'm sorry, that's very unfair because that belongs to my kids. My kids have nothing to do with it. It's not their fault. That's something that should be brought up with him.
So we're kind of talking about things outside of the courtroom. You're talking about it's a recoupment that you're referring to. So what happens is if it's insufficient funds, and I don't know without looking, so I'm basing it off what you say, that if there's insufficient funds, then the state is kind of covering the insufficient funds. And that's why we're recouping it because, the state shouldn't pay the support. He sent a bad check and we had already dispersed it to you, I guess, before it cleared. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look at the case, but it doesn't look like we're giving credit on the pay record. I'm going to show you.
Well, but the credit is one thing. If you all don't give him credit and he still owes it to her, that's one thing. But the issue of her having to give it back, can we? Were you going to get an arrears amount today?
That's in our pleading, Your Honor. We were going to take a judgment. And so the pay record does not give him credit of that payment.
I just really think it's unfair. And I understand that, the state is not supposed to pay.
The judge and attorneys dig deeper into the recoupment issue. The state explains they covered the failed payment and now must recover it. The judge raises the difficult question of whether she must return the funds. and the conflict sharpens as they weigh fairness versus procedure. This is where the courtroom's frustration becomes unmistakable.
It's, where the parent does have to send it, then they have to send it to me. But why should it go towards my kids and affect my kids? I think the person that you should go to is towards him, because he's the one that issued the check. My kids have nothing to do with it.
I don't mind not giving him credit, because if the check bounce, he doesn't get credit, so he still owes it to you. That where I'm struggling is
That's
making him
what
pay
I'm
it back.
that's kind of what I'm getting at, Rhonda, that he's not getting credit for
No,
that.
we all agree on that. I think she
Yeah.
agrees that if he
And
didn't
I agree
and his
too.
check bounce, it goes back on the amount he owes. The
And
credit is she has to give it back.
Well, that's why, Your Honor, because so if he doesn't get credit because there were insufficient funds, then that payment was not really counted.
All right, the flip side of that then, if she doesn't pay it back, then we give him credit? Is it that easy?
Well, no, because right now the state made that payment to her is what it looks like.
Well,
Because
can we find out before we do anything? Can we do temporary orders and set the medical, the insurance part, Ms. Gonzalez? And then we come back and verify how much she actually owes or what's gonna happen with that. It was one payment, right, Ms. Gonzalez, of
It was-
587?
Yes, and if I can show you this, Your Honor, I have my phone right here. Hold on. This is what he's been giving since we had divorced.
Okay, well, we'll get to that because I don't want to consider it an evidence because we're not getting into that right now. I think Mr. Schamberger was just trying to he said he just wanted to change the medical. What he meant by that is the family code states that if we do not have enough information on wages, we can lower the child support to minimum, as if he's working 40 hours a week, $7.25 an hour. They're not going to do that. They're not going to lower the child support. They are choosing to leave the child support at $587. But we do have to change the order with respect to the insurance, the medical. It needs to be put in there that the child has medical. I thought that's what we were going to do only, but then he started talking about arrears and how much is owed. And
Now things get complicated. The judge questions whether refusing to return the money would force credit to the father, and the room slows as they try to untangle the logic. Miss Gonzalez pushes back, insisting the burden shouldn't fall on her or the children. The moment captures the clash between legal rules and real-world fairness, creating a sharp spike.
I think we're getting lost in that. And
But the other thing we can do, Your Honor, that I think could simplify this is if we only modify the medical and I non-suit the request for judgment, I can turn around and file a contempt action in a few months, and then we deal with the judge part of the contempt.
Once we bring
That way it's finalized today.
Yeah, once we bring him in live, Ms. Gonzalez, because enforcement for non-payment of child support, those cases are the ones where you're asking that he go to jail, but those have to be done live at the courthouse. And so we'll do that later. Once we get him in, we can talk about this 1 month and the check bouncing and all that. Okay?
That way she doesn't have to. That way she doesn't have to come back. We're not taking a judgment, so we can still hold them in contempt for prior months
Yes.
of non-payment. So we can just turn around and file a contempt action.
I don't want to touch in today's order, Ms. Gonzalez. I don't want to mention how much he owes you, because by doing that, we have to talk about that 1 month, whether you're going to give it back or not. So we're not going to talk about it. We're only going to put in the order the insurance, the medical. They're going to refile a petition to enforce payment of child support. You'll get a court hearing like for May.
The judge suggests pressing pause, proposing temporary orders while they verify what's truly owed. The attorneys shift strategies, suggesting they drop today's judgment and pursue contempt later. You can feel the shift in momentum as everyone tries to keep the case moving without making matters worse. It's a strategic regrouping under pressure.